Hi, I'm Jennifer Schuck, the chair of the Global Alliance of Speech-to-Text Captioning. Today, I'd like to introduce you to one of our directors, Ron Drach. Ron, can you tell us a little bit about your hearing loss journey and how you use captions?
Well, it's interesting. I lost my hearing late in life. I was wounded in Vietnam in 1967, which resulted in some other disabilities. Basically, I stepped on a booby trap, which was today's equivalent of an IED. But I didn't, and that was in 1967. I didn't start losing my hearing until 1998, 31 years later. And I wasn't really sure why I was starting to lose my hearing. I also developed at that time Meniere's syndrome, and people had told me that Meniere's will cause deafness. Other people told me that it's suspected, but there's no real strong evidence to that effect. But I met somebody who had severe Meniere's, and she was pretty deaf. So I don't know, but the VA recognized it as being due to acoustical trauma because of the explosion. You know, when I stepped on the booby trap, it obviously made a big loud noise. But it was just kind of ironic that it took 31 years to, before the hearing started to go on me. But it is what it is. And initially, I was in denial, like a lot of people that I know today, veterans that I've met and others who have lost hearing or partial hearing. They were in denial. I was in denial. My wife was putting up with me and, the selective hearing accusations and whatnot. But then a friend of mine, we were going on a trip, the three of us, and it was a weekend trip somewhere in Southern Virginia. And I was having a hard time. And he said, when are you going to go to the VA and get hearing aids? And I said, I don't know, one of these days. So he actually picked up the phone and called the VA hospital director and made an appointment for me. So he sort of nudged me in there. And it took me a while to really, get into the hearing aids. I started with one, and I had fairly good hearing in my left ear, but I needed the hearing aid in the right. And then eventually both of them went. And so now without my hearing aids, I can hear virtually nothing. And even with my hearing aids, I don't do very well.
Well, I do want to say thank you very much for your service. And I'm glad that you are here with us today and sharing your story with us, because it's not an unfamiliar or an uncommon story among our veterans. And so thank you for sharing that with us. Why did you want to be on the board of the Global Alliance?
Well, I started losing my hearing in 1998, and it progressed to the point where I needed both hearing aids, or both hearing aids for both ears. And then as the hearing got worse, it was not only the audio, it was the word discrimination. So even today, my bigger problem is understanding words as opposed to hearing. I was on a Zoom call yesterday, and I could hear all the talking, but I couldn't understand hardly anything. I couldn't even put it in context. It was so bad, and there was no captioning. So it was really a waste of time for me to be on that call yesterday. But I did get filled in on the gist of it. So when I got to the point of where I was really having a problem, I got involved with another organization that's involved with telephone captioning. And that really kind of got me on the stream of becoming more advocacy oriented as a consumer. And my background is advocacy and veterans issues and veterans benefits for 50 years and plus. So I started thinking about it. And then when I heard, I've been active with the other organization as a consultant. And I forget exactly how I saw it. There was a post somewhere that the Global Alliance was looking for board members. So I said, well, I don't know whether they'd want me on there or not. I don't have any background other than the advocacy part and the fact that I'm a consumer of captioning and having a hearing loss. and I rely very strongly on captioning. So I thought that hopefully, if I was selected to be on the board, I could do something to help the board out and help the organization out going forward, and see what happens from there. And fortunately for me, you all selected me, so here I am.
Well, I am super grateful that you responded to our call for directors, because it is really important to have your voice as a consumer. I know it's possible from a professional point of view, but it's really your voice as the consumer of what you need to see and what you want to see that makes it really important as we go forward and do our work. And you talked about the word discrimination. I think there is a lot of advocacy that needs to be done in that regard, that hearing loss isn't just about talking louder, that there is more to it than that. And so as we move forward with the Global Alliance, there are a lot of areas that we need to tackle. And so we appreciate your working with us and moving our mission forward. So to that end, what would you like to see the Global Alliance do in the next year?
Well, the organization, as you well know, as being one of the founders, that it's about 2 years old now. And I know we don't have a staff, which is really, a negative going into it, obviously, because there are things that need to be done on a daily basis. And so far, you and the other board members have been very active in doing what needs to be done to get us organized and get us moving. But without a day-to-day CEO and other staff to go after programs and services, there's not a whole lot that we can continue to do until we get that into place. So what I'd like to see, obviously, is the ability for the organization to grow, which obviously means fundraising, new membership, sponsorship, whatever revenue streams that we can identify and take advantage of, so that at some point, hopefully within the next year, we'll be able to hire, if nothing else, at least a part-time staff person to help run the organization, because I think there's so much to do. And it's interesting because up until about, I'd say 6-8 months ago, you didn't see or hear much on the internet or on social media about hearing loss and captioning, but I'm seeing more and more of it. We had a call last week about the education committee, and we were talking about telephone captioning. Well, I did a very informal survey watching TV. Excuse me. I don't watch a lot of live TV. We record a lot of programs and then watch them later. But I was going to take notes on commercials, because a lot of the TV programming is captioned. Most of it's captioned, but the commercials, for the most part, are not. Well, during one commercial break, there was like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 advertisers, and I started writing down the ones that had captioning. And I said, whoa, there's more that are captioned than are not. I should write down the ones that aren't captioned. So I was very, I hadn't been that aware of it, because I usually don't watch commercials. I fast forward them if I can, or I just ignore them. So it was encouraging to see, and we're talking some big advertisers, not just something local, but some big corporations are into it. So that's encouraging.
I feel like every time we have a conversation, there are more ideas. We come up with a longer to-do list. And like you said, we need staff, we need manpower to be able to support all of these. We are not short on ideas. We are just short on ways to get them implemented with the manpower that we need. What are some of the strengths of the Global Alliance? And what would you say are the calls to action for people who would watch this?
Well, I think the strengths of the Alliance are the existing and the founding members who had the vision to get this organized and to put their time and their blood, sweat, and tears into putting it together and doing all the volunteer work to make it as successful as it is right now. And again, we have to temper that with the idea that this is all volunteer, and I shouldn't say temperate, it's actually to your credit for the work that you all have done on doing this and getting us, excuse me, to where we are today. Oh, excuse me. So I think the strength is in the vision. Like you said, we're not short on ideas. Um, it's very easy to become stagnant if people are just sitting back waiting for somebody else to, hey, let's do this, or what do you think about this? It takes it, as they say, it takes a village, and I think the board is a village. The calls that I've been on, the things that we've done in the last year or so that I've been a member, have all been interactive. It's not been one person speaking. It's been one person talking and then everybody following up in it and having a discussion. And it's never been a one-way discussion. It's been a group discussion. And I've been on, and I'm still on several boards. And luckily and fortunately, most of the boards that I'm on are like that. But occasionally you get a board or an organization where you have one or two people that do all the speaking because the other members are either they're bashful or they just don't know how to respond or whatever. But it's exciting to be on a board that has so many thoughtful and knowledgeable and passionate people that are into this.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. I am super proud of what we've done to this point, and I do think we have a fantastic board. It it is comprised of all facets of the industry, and I think together we can go forward and make a huge difference. I really want to thank you again for your service to our country, and thank you again for your service to the Global Alliance and for taking the time here today. I hope everybody learned just a little bit more about you and what the Global Alliance stands for. So thank you very much, Ron. We'll be in touch about that long to-do list.
Thank you very much, Jen. I appreciate it. You have a good day.
You too.